Hey, Em. Good morning, girl. How you doing? It's your dad, Miguel Angelo Trujillo, and today is the 20th of June, 2019. I hope you're doing well. Um, wow, you've got so many wonderful things happening simultaneously. First, you're on summer vacation. Whew, that's nice. That must be a relief. Uh, and today is the day before your birthday. Which is the 21st of June. I remember your actual birthday, the 21st of June, 2004. I have vivid memories of it. Yeah. Pretty amazing time. And so, yeah, you're going to be 15 years old. Wow, how exciting. That is a milestone. 15 years? Dang. That's a long time to be alive. 15 years. Wow. Do I remember when I was 15 years old? Yeah, I sure do. Yeah, I remember high school. I went to high school in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I've been impressed with Cabrillo High School from what I know about it, what I've been learning about it. It seems to be an amazing school. There's a video on YouTube that talks about the Cabrillo Aquarium, and it's pretty impressive. The teachers and the community have put a lot of energy into that aquarium, and it's just so nice to see the leadership roles that some of the kids have to pull the aquarium together, and those events where people gather and look at the fish. Seems like a pretty special thing. I've been to the aquarium a couple times, but in the years past, and I've enjoyed my time there. It's always neat to learn about like underwater sea life, things like that. There was a time, Em, where I thought that you might be interested in becoming like a marine biologist or something like that. I think you do have an affinity for animals, and I wouldn't be surprised if that was something that you wanted to go into, maybe become a veterinarian or something like that. Um, I remember when you were a kid asking for a dog. I know you wanted a dog pretty bad. I know you got that dog, so I'm so pleased to know that happened. And in fact, I'm kind of curious about how your dog's doing. I know at one time you had two dogs, but I think one of them died. And so hopefully your dog is healthy and doing well. So I actually don't happen not to have any pets right now. I've got two plants, and I'm barely able to keep them alive. But I do the best I can with the living things that are around me. So let's see what's going on. So it's your birthday. Wow, tomorrow. It's also the longest day of the year. It's the summer solstice, which I really appreciate. Let me tell you, this year has been so cold and cloudy and windy and rainy. I'm going to be going camping in about 2 weeks up in the maybe it's just in 1 week now that I think about it. Up in the mountains near Santa Cruz. And I'm really excited to go camping, but it's not as warm as I would have expected it to be as late as it is in the year. So temperatures there are about 75 degrees, which is fine. Maybe it's best that is what the temperature is. I think in years past, when I've gone camping, the temperatures have been up in the 80s, up in the 85s, and that's really tough. So you know what? This weather might be exactly what the doctor ordered. Weather about 75 degrees Fahrenheit might be just fine. 72, 75, that's good. There's a swimming pool out there at the campground. And So um, hopefully that outdoor swimming pool is unheated. It's a little chilly. I'm trying to brainstorm ways that I can go swimming in comfort in that unheated swimming pool, and I'm not sure there's a way I can do that. I did give some thought to like buying like a little wetsuit or something. I think you can buy like cheapo wetsuits. I think you can buy them, like at, I don't know, Target or something like that. I don't know. I could be mistaken. In fact, maybe I am mistaken. I don't know if I'd want to buy a wetsuit that was sort of really inexpensive anyway. I actually already have a wetsuit, but I like it a lot. I wouldn't want to put it in a chlorinated pool. Yeah. Speaking of wetsuit, I need to get out into the ocean and do some swimming. Absolutely. I I did go swimming in the ocean like a week ago, and that was a good time. I think it was 2 weeks ago, and I think I figured out what I resolved to do. I resolved to get some booties for my feet, and I resolved to get like a hood for my head, and maybe even some gloves. I wanted to get more covered up because you know I found that when I was sort of swimming in the ocean, that when my feet would touch the ground, that sometimes they would roll across like rocks or shells and things like that. I felt like I wanted feet that were a little more protected from the sea bottom. Yeah. So that might be something to get. Also, tomorrow I've got friends who are going to go bike riding, and I've been thinking about buying a bike too. I actually don't own a bicycle, and I think it's important. I think maybe this summer I'll get a bicycle. Hey Google, put bicycle on the shopping list.
Okay, I've added bicycle to your shopping list.
It's easier to add bicycle to my shopping list than it is to actually shop for a bike.
Okay, I've added bicycle to your shopping list.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think it's funny how the Google voice sometimes sounds a little bit insincere. She goes, "You're welcome." Like, what is that? So yeah, I think I want to get a bike, but here's the thing: I don't know what kind of bike I want to get. No idea. There's so many different kinds of bikes out there. It's like, I think what I might have to do is just buy something. I think I might just have to buy something just to get me started. I don't know. I have a friend. Her name is Jean, and she's a slightly older woman. And I just learned about a story where she had an accident on a bicycle. Turns out she was at H and Central, no, H and Ocean, and I guess she got off her bike to cross the street or something, and she got in an accident. Someone ran into her, and she fractured her pelvis. I know, so sad, so tragic. And she was laid up at the hospital for like a month. Actually, no, maybe not the hospital, but some kind of rehabilitation office. Anyway, she was, and then she's still. It's been like 6 months or so or longer, and she's still recovering from it. She hasn't fully gained back her strength, and so tragic. So here I am. I've got friends who ride bicycles and who are getting injured on them. So, it really makes me think about whether I want to be riding a bike anyway. I've actually had some friends. I had another friend. She trains for triathlons. She has trained and been in and has entered into and participated in an Ironman triathlon. So she's a very adept bicyclist and swimmer and runner. And she was driving, she was like bicycling along the road, and like a semi truck just passed her, didn't touch her, but the wind sort of pushed her, and the wind pushed her off balance. I think she crashed or something, and she hurt her neck or something. Another injury. So anyway, I guess I've just been sort of uncertain about bicycles and whether it even makes sense for me to get one. I like the idea of bicycle riding. It's so romantic to move over the land under your own power. I mean, that sounds pretty wonderful, doesn't it? Well, it does to me. And I really like the idea. But here's the thing about bicycling and car driving. It's just our infrastructure in the United States doesn't allow for the separation of those two modes of transportation. They're sort of combined, bikes and cars on the same street. And no matter how many lines you draw on the pavement, on the asphalt, so long as they're sort of on the same street, that's not going to really reduce the risk that much. What I want for at least the infrastructure, I want the infrastructure to separate out bicycles and cars. I want two separate sets of infrastructure. Because I don't know. Well, I do know. Sharing the road, bicycles sharing the road with cars increases risk. These cars, they have limited visibility. And they have a tendency to go really, really fast. Cars, routinely travel at 50 miles an hour, 60 miles an hour. And, people who drive cars are protected by a steel cage, right? Steel and glass cages. Whereas people on bicycles, well, they're not protected by any external barrier except, say, those bicyclists that wear helmets. So, there's just a lot more vulnerability. There's a huge discrepancy between the speed and the protection of people riding bikes and in cars. It's so different. The modes of transportation are so different. And to have them just sort of crammed into a single street, I don't know. It sounds like a bad idea. Sounds like a bad idea to me. And plus, when you're riding a bike, you're just so vulnerable. The only thing that's keeping you upright is the moment of inertia of the wheels. These tires, which are just tiny, from a physics standpoint, you don't necessarily want to be brushed by vehicles that are moving at a high rate of speed, moving lots of air, because they could blow you over. Serious. Anyway, so I'm just complaining right now, clearly. I think ultimately it's an engineering problem. In fact, here's the thing about as an engineer, I've found out about life, that most of the problems in life are really just engineering problems. Pretty much every problem is an engineering problem. So, the reason why people die at all in cars has a lot to do with engineering. It has a lot to do with, exchange spaces, about trade-offs between one thing and another. Human beings are continuously making trade-offs when they make decisions. They're taking calculated risks. They're adding in safety factors. There's always money and cost that goes into the equation. There's a lot of what I'd call subtle underlying ideas that are really just engineering ideas that sort of cause a lot of the problems we have in our society. And yeah. So I think, anyway, I think the problem with bicyclists getting hit by cars is definitely an engineering problem. And I think that part of the solution might be to separate the infrastructure, the bicycle riding infrastructure from the car riding infrastructure. That would go a long way toward preventing cars from hitting people. I know. So, but anyway, I'm glad, I guess people persist in riding bicycles with cars. Um, I think what that demonstrates is just an amazing amount of courage and bravery. And I can admire that. I can admire people so passionate about some kind of activity, a recreational activity, that they're willing to put themselves in that kind of risk, in that kind of predicament. So good for them, man. I'm glad they love what they're doing. I'm not sure I'll participate though. Now, I do ride bicycles. I've mentioned this in the past. I ride bicycles, stationary bikes at the gym. Yeah, those exercycles. I know. We'll see. Maybe I will get a bicycle. Maybe not. I don't know. So let's see what's going on soon. So I am going to be walking in the Solstice Parade this coming Saturday, and I'm sort of wrapping up my costume. It'll be it'll be completely done by Friday, that's for sure, which is tomorrow, which is your birthday. And so I'm pleased about that. And yesterday I spent a good amount of time searching for an element of my costume at Dick's Sporting Goods. Yeah. That sure is a big store. I like Dick's Sporting Goods. They got all kinds of stuff there. And I think I need to go shopping there more often. I go to the gym like nearly every day, every weekday anyway, about 5 days a week. And one thing I'm finding is that I need to invest a little bit more money into like gym shorts and gym shirts and gym equipment. Maybe even like tennis shoes. I need to do a better job spending money on tennis shoes, because it's kind of funny. I've made a commitment of my time and energy in the gym, which is great. But I haven't made the same kind of commitment in the sort of the storage and care and accumulation of my workout clothing. So I need to put a little bit more emphasis into my clothing. I need to buy shorts and some shirts. Yeah. For some reason, even now, it's still a second thought. Like I still have like in my closet just one drawer where I just pack everything in there, all my shirts and shorts, my running shorts and stuff like that. One drawer, I just jam it all in there. I'm thinking, this is not working. I really need to break out the storage of the shirts and shorts so that I know what I'm doing. It's kind of funny. So yeah, I do need to put some more energy into that. We'll see what happens. It's kind of funny. Life is complex, right? There's a lot of moving parts to it. And, I find myself continually trying to juggle those moving parts. And in order to do that, I need time and energy and money, right? It's kind of funny where I think when I've got the time and the money, I don't have the energy. When I've got the energy, I don't have the time or the money. It's hard to wrestle up all those three elements of it's hard to rustle up all those three elements. It's pretty funny. I guess that's where planning comes in. And despite my efforts to plan, I must admit that I am inconsistent, and I need a little bit more consistency. I do my best. I've got a few elements that I'm assembling. Like, for example, I tend to use Google Keep, and I use my iPad Pro. I use Notability. I guess that there's another writing app that I might use. And then I use Google Calendar. Those three pieces of software really are invaluable in helping me plan. And, I'm pleased with the progress that I've made so far. And I think I'd like to do better. But let me tell you, though, to do planning, that takes commitment. And, it's not always easy to find the time or the commitment to plan. So yesterday I took this Alzheimer's test. It was just a little quiz online, and it was a memory exam. And I did not do as well as I had hoped that I would do. And I think what that's prompting me to do is to think a little bit more about how I can improve my memory. Now, thankfully, I have an interest in memory games and memory techniques, and I have an intrinsic motivation to sort of improve memory anyway. So thankfully that exists. And so maybe, plus I go to school, right? I'm continually going to school, continually learning new things, continually taking quizzes and exams. By the way, I got an A grade in my welding class last semester. Whew, that's nice. Did I tell you that? I got an A in my welding class. So glad. Because here's the reason why I was so glad. I actually missed basically part of the final exam. There were two parts of the final exam in that welding class. There was a written final exam, and then there was a project final. And I did do the written final exam, but I couldn't do the project final exam because I was out of the state. I was on a business trip in Arizona. And fact is, I thought about rescheduling the project final with the instructor because I couldn't make it on the day that the test was going to be because of my work travel. And I just said, bag it, forget about it. So I just skipped out on the project final, which I think what happened was that my grade was so high already that even though I got a 0 on the project final, I still got an A in the class. So that is saying something. I just want to say that that's saying something. I also had the suspicion that I would be doing just fine in the class. I felt that I could live with a B grade, that I didn't have to get an A, but I got an A anyway. Isn't that great? I'm so pleased. Here's the thing. I take Alan Hancock classes for fun, right? Nighttime classes for fun. For me, it's a good time. And here's the catch. I want to have a high GPA. I want to get A's in all my classes. That's a big deal to me too. Now, why do I want to do so well in classes that I'm just taking for fun? I don't know. I mean, here's why. I think I know why. It has to do with my personality. I tend to be highly conscientious. And part of being conscientious is making sure that I study as hard as I can for the exams, that I read the chapters, that, I do all the work, that I show up on time, that I show up every day of the class. So I have high levels of conscientiousness when it comes to my education. And so I have these high standards. So, that's why I want an A in my class. I want to demonstrate, the traits of a good student. And part of me doing that is ensuring that I get good grades in my classes by, being studious and dedicated and being a conscientious student. And so, that's why. What does conscientious mean? Well, it's a person who's disciplined, has lots of self-discipline, is able to focus. It's kind of funny. I talk about how I'm challenged with focus and getting things done, being productive. And, I'm aware that my estimation is relative compared to other estimations about my own productivity. My assessments are relative to other people's assessments. And because I'm so conscientious, I hold myself to a much higher standard than I think a lot of other people hold themselves to. And so when I say that I'm struggling with productivity or my to-do apps, Google Keep, Notability, and Google Calendar, my guess is that I'm probably doing as well or even better than many other people. And that's because I'm continually focused on it as a result of me having just a sort of a conscientious personality. So anyway, I think you ought to know that. So that's basically a caveat, right? I'm letting you know that sometimes when I tell you that I'm struggling, chances are that I'm doing above and beyond what most people do. And it's only my own assessment, my own evaluation of my own behavior, which is sometimes lower than I want it to be. I have a feeling you probably already knew that. I have a feeling that you are that insightful, Emily, to know that that is the case. So I guess I'm stating the unstated, and I don't know, maybe it's unnecessary. So, like I mentioned, I'm going to go camping in about a week's time. So tomorrow I have off from work, and basically I just am going to be working all next week. And when I get to the end of next week, I am out of here. I'm heading on the road trip. I'm heading on a road trip for 2.5 weeks. I know, it's crazy. So when was the last time that I went on a vacation for 2.5 weeks? That's a good question. Well, I have a feeling that I have not been on a 2.5 week vacation for over 10 years. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. This is going to be the longest vacation I have been on ever. It's going to be one of the longest vacations. So here's the thing. You probably don't know this about me, but I struggle on vacations quite often. I like 2 or 3 days, 4 days, nice. 5 days, now it's starting to stretch. 6 days, all right. Now I'm like, so I love vacations, but I tend to take shorter vacations. I tend to take many shorter vacations, which is fine by me. I love the short vacation. But these longer vacations, I'm unaccustomed to. And I'm a little wary of them. But anyway, I'm really proud of myself for committing to a 2.5 week vacation. Wow, that's impressive for me. So I'm really stoked. I'm going to be able to do all kinds of things. I've got lots of plans. I'm going to go to NASA Ames Research Center. I'm going to go to Six Flags. I'm going to go, of course, I'm going to Santa Cruz, and I don't know. Who knows what else I'll do? Who knows what else I'll do? So, I think I might even go picking apples if I can. If I don't know, I know apple picking season doesn't start until like August, so there might not be any apples to pick. But anyway, I'm excited about my vacation. It's gonna be fun to go camping with friends, 100 other friends. Oh, actually, you know what? I'm gonna be camping in that 2 weeks that I'm gonna be camping. I'm gonna be with easily 100 other. I'm not 100, 200 other people. I know. So this for me is a joy because I love to be around people and have conversations with people and just enjoy my time with them. And so this is going to be a blast. I'm going to have so much fun, so many amazing adventures in the camping setting, in the setting of the redwood forest. This is what it's all about, man. For me, this is what it's all about. This is where I get my joy. And I'm just so pleased. I feel so privileged to be able to do it. So it's going to be a good time. So I'm going to be camping for 2.5 weeks. So one of the questions I have, I got a lot of questions about it. One of the reasons I don't go on a lot of vacations that are lengthy is because I worry about a few things. I'm concerned about, number one, I want to maintain my weight on vacation. I don't want to gain 10 pounds or whatever through, uncontrolled eating. How do I manage my weight on vacation? That's number one. Number two, I exercise 5 times a week. I go to the gym 5 times a week. How am I going to survive out camping without working out? I don't know, man. How am I gonna do my squats, man? How am I gonna do my bench press? How am I gonna? I don't know. Apparently, so I don't know how I'm gonna exercise. I want to keep up my exercise routine, so I'm gonna have to find a gym somewhere, and I'm just gonna have to wing it with some of the exercises because I'm pretty sure, like, one of the exercises that I love is Jacob's Ladder. Right? You may not be familiar with it, but Jacob's Ladder is like a ladder rung climbing stationary mill exercise. I don't really quite know how to describe it. But usually I do about 25 minutes on the Jacob's Ladder machine once a week. And that's really important to me. So here I am exercising on very specialized machines here at home. How do I get the same kind of workout when I'm gone for 2.5 weeks? I don't know. It's going to be a real struggle. I'm going to have to find a Gold's Gym somewhere or some high profile gym to find the exercises I want to find. And I also go swimming regularly. I don't know. I'm going to have to find a decent swimming pool. So I'm going to struggle in those two areas. Just diet and exercise. Now you may be thinking, oh, poo-poo, diet and exercise. I think part of the conscientiousness of my personality is trying to maintain my diet and exercise habits when I'm on vacation. That's a struggle for me. So I'm definitely going to be trying to work that into my schedule. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I might just have to take a 2.5 week break from diet and exercise. Is this what people do on vacations? See, I don't know. So there's my struggle. We'll see how it works out. So here's another thing. You know, I love camping. Camping's a lot of fun. But there is a point where you're just kind of, you're just kind of like once you got the tent up, once you get the food taken care of, once you've eaten like your third s'mores, you're asking yourself, okay, what next? And, it's kind of interesting. In today's society, we have access to like smartphones and other technology that when things start getting a little dull, we can spice things up, right? By playing a Netflix movie or playing a computer app or surfing the internet but when you're out in the mountains and you don't have, say, the cellular service that you depend on, you don't have Wi-Fi, the question arises, what do you do after your third s'mores? That's a good question. So that's when you break out the hacky sack, you break out the frisbee, you break out the basketball. That's when you break out the soccer ball, break out the volleyball. You got to be prepared, man. You break out the kite. I don't know what you're breaking out, but you're breaking out something. Maybe it's playing trivia games. I don't know. So I am thinking about that and what I'm going to do after my third s'mores bar. Because, so I don't know. I'm kind of thinking about it. You see, in the mountains, you're kind of in the mountains. You're kind of stuck there. Anyway, I'm going to wrap things up. I just want to say that I'm so pleased that it's your birthday. Woohoo, 15 years old. Good for you, girl. You made it. Not every kid makes it to age 15. I had a brother die at age 6 of leukemia. So you're doing great. If you could make it to age 15, next stop, age 90. Hopefully not for a long, long time, of course. But anyway, congratulations on your birthday, and I hope you have a wonderful birthday. And I just want to say that I'm open to going to get a pizza or a burger or a smoothie or something, or go get an icy. I'm actually kind of in the mood for an icy lately. So if you have an interest in going to a 7-Eleven and getting an icy, that sounds like a lot of fun to me. And I'd be willing to entertain the thought. Anyway, I hope you have a wonderful day today and a wonderful, even more wonderful day tomorrow, since it'll be your birthday. And then a wonderful weekend. I'll talk to you later, girl. I want you to know, by the way, that I'm available, that I have wide availability for you. Take care, girl.